Hello. Let me check in with the first bit of Feel Free essays by Zadie Smith, all written sort of around the presidency of Obama, though some of them do seem to spill into Trump. Trump definitely comes up, though maybe not as overwhelmingly as he would in the next volume of these essays. Opens maybe appropriately for me with her kind of decrying the closure of a library in in London, in the part of London where she grew up, and just sort of the small-mindedness of it, basically going to get ripped down so that they can put up some luxury condos to make, the council estate can make some money on it, because they're super crunched for money, and nobody gives a shit about libraries, and libraries being these odd thing in our capitalist grasping society, both in England, the UK, and in Canada, and in thing. It's odd that it's a place where you don't actually have to go and buy stuff. It is actually a public space in the true sense of the word public space, which we don't really have much anymore. So we have that. We have her talking about Brexit, a Brexit which definitely, especially, I mean, maybe especially when you're further away, you just think, what kind of idiots would do this? But she does actually pause and say, yes, I'm a part of that intelligentsia who just couldn't believe that it was happening and thought that these people must be dumb, that the lower class people who voted for this must, they're voting against their own interests, they've been manipulated, they're just dumb. But going, no, they've also been horribly mistreated and squeezed, and this is an expression of anger, and a righteous anger, maybe not a great action, and it's fucked over places like Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, places that might be like, do we want to detach to this? And there is just that whole kind of the running racism through all of this. Yeah. We have her accepting a book prize, and it's later in her career. Like she's saying, I wrote White Teeth, kind of a multicultural, describing kind of a multicultural society, which wasn't like trying to evangelize. That's what I grew up in, but now it's seen as this by some is this failed experiment, or are you going to accept that this was something that never was going to happen, that it failed? And looking at things and saying look, the people it's like conducting an orchestra, and it depends on who you have up there conducting. They can tease different songs out of people, they can evoke different things. And she's accepting this award in Germany, where it says it's not too far in people's past here that that the conductor drew out martial, ugly stuff, and we're having that now in our leaders, in the UK and the US, elsewhere. Very mean-minded, ugly notes are getting drawn forth, which I don't know. You also can't absolve people of the responsibilities for stuff, but it's also the responsibility of leaders to try and maybe evoke better stuff from people, even if it's only for try and combine it with their own overweening desire for power and influences to try and make that like a power for good. She does one really interesting one on from the audience section of Mark Zuckerberg and the social network, and how she's describing people as 1.0 being kind of pre-internet, and 2.0 being, people who are now, who've grown up, who are shaped by this technology, and a kind of nailing that Fincher and the writer Walk With Me guy, fuck, his name, Few Good Men, The West Wing, that writer guy, are 1.0 people, 48 and something, is when they were born, and they're very much that generation. So they have kind of the snarky, computer nerd as their reference point for Zuckerberg, whereas Zuckerberg himself might be a lot more anodyne. Now, this is interesting, and just saying, like, a lot of what's remade our world, taking it from an expert in coding, is like, look, these are decisions that are made by people, offhand decisions made for people, maybe last minute, maybe just convenient toss-offs, that then go on to radically to shape how we think of ourselves, how we act, how we be in the world. Like the things like, Facebook is blue because Zuckerberg is colorblind, in red green, but blues he can see, so that's why Facebook is blue. um, you know and that's just a minor thing, but also just like, your status, because he's a Harvard sophomore. He's interested in, like, are you single? Can I try and date you? That sort of stuff. Is these decisions were used to, and that have now crammed in what people have, and his ideas of what privacy is, and if it's necessary or not. Now, I think in some ways that article has gotten, her thing has gotten a little bit surpassed by stuff like, the ideas of the algorithm, of the great political influence that people had been able to use Facebook for. That while Zuckerberg might be uninterested about money, his company sure the fuck is not uninterested in money, and basically weaponized hatred to make a shit ton of money, for themselves, for this company, sociopathic company. So, but yet still kind of an interesting article, and that whole thing of coding is not neutral. It is shaping you, and you need to think about how it is shaping you, and whether you want to be crammed into the little tick boxes that it has there, whether you can, or that's the techno literacy, I guess, thing. So yeah, interesting articles there. From It's interesting reading older essays on stuff like Brexit, on Zuckerberg, on the library. The library stuff seems very au courant, and yet still slipping away. All right, I will leave it there for the moment. More videos later.